Welcome to the Johnny Dell Football Academy podcast on the channel that's trying to answer the whys and hows of the game by talking through and dissecting game film and diving deeper to explain why the X's zig and the O's zag. I am Adam Marino, joined by Mr. Johnny Dell, and we are reminding you, as always, the most fun way to watch is on YouTube, where we go live. There you can comment into the live show. Be sure to hit the notification bell and turn on your notifications so you can be a part of the conversation. We also stream live on Facebook and X. Also, the audio versions are always found on Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcasts. Now, if you are live with us in the chat, it's probably because you are subscribed, you've hit the notification bell, and turned those notifications on. So, when sharing with your friends, be sure to let them know. We also love to hear from you outside of our live show. Email us at johnnydellsfootballacademy@gmail.com, and you can always check out the website JFA49.com, as it is the most fun way to support the channel. Also, the way we boost the chat and boost the algorithm is to type out hashtag JD49. Yes, hashtag JD49 on this Friday. Welcome into the Johnny Dell Football Academy podcast. We are going to answer some hows and whys, have some fun, laugh, cry, do it all. Johnny and I were put into a interesting group chat a couple days ago, and it was by the lovely Dawn Dell who put us in that group chat, and she was sharing some of the Purdy's 49ers. There's not one person in this chat who has not seen a video. I'm not going to get into all the videos. They are funny. It's overplayed at this time. I get it. Injuries, okay, blah, blah, blah. Now, here's what I'm talking about, though. Me and Johnny, even just now before the show, got into it a little bit, that I am in 6'7". That is taking over the universe. I get it, 6'7". But I will say that the issue of being 4-2 when the teams that we've played are less than stellar and the injuries keep running their toll, I just am of the mindset of I want to be competitive. I want to still watch every game, every play, every down, glued to the TV. But I am like, I don't know if you guys can talk me out of this. I'd rather be getting a very high draft pick than thinking that once we come playoff time without these players, I just don't think that for me, it's Super Bowl win or bust. And I don't think any Niner faithful can look me in the eye and tell me that we are winning the Super Bowl without Bosa, without Warner, with these injuries. I don't think Brock is going to remain. Like, look at Burrow. He's got the same. I know it's not maybe exactly the same, but the turf toe. Johnny, talk me off the ledge. What are you thinking?
Okay, well, one, you want to sit here and say that the teams that we played have not been good teams. I'm sorry, Seattle is a good team. They are an extremely competitive team. Will be there at the end of the season. They have one of the best defenses in the league. The Buccaneers have been beating just about everybody.
Yeah, and we lost to them.
And right, but lost to them in a game where you lose Fred Warner midstream in the very beginning of the game. Lisa's about to start a petition to get you fired.
Thank you for the
Look, I'm not going to make the argument that the 49ers are going to go win the Super Bowl this year.
Okay, then.
But I'm also not going to make the argument that they can't make it there. We don't know what's happened. This is the challenge with this team this year. We don't know what this team is. They don't know what this team is.
So get the young guys in there.
It's got a lot of young guys. Yes, they're like skewed to a higher age roster, but that's largely because when you have a 36-year-old, 37-year-old left tackle, and you have some of the other guys they have that are older, but overall, this team is very young. They have a lot of guys that don't have a lot of games under their belt. So they don't know exactly who this team is right now. They won't know come January. This team in December is going to be very different than the team we have now. We go through this every October. I've talked about this how many times? Every October, it is doom and gloom around the 49ers. And come November, we actually start figuring out, was it real or was it not? Last year, it turned out to be real. The year before, it was absolutely not. We lost 3 games in October in 2023 and went to the Super Bowl. So this is not like we can't always know what we are at this point in the season. November and really January or December will tell us what this team is. And as we see the young guys grow, there's I mean, the injury list is still a mile long. They need to go 2 or 3 games without anybody getting hurt. They have to do that because that's the only way you kind of get back on track right now, is that you have to get a lot of reinforcements back and not lose anybody else in the meantime. So I'm not going to talk you off the ledge. I'm not going to talk you up to the ledge. I'm not going to do either one. But this team is one that they have to continue playing week by week. And I think that's been the message inside the 49ers locker room. They have a huge challenge in this game. I think also you said, they played some not great teams. That's looking at preseason rankings. We were going into the season saying the 49ers have the easiest schedule in the NFL. And when you start looking at their schedule now, it looks very, very different. The Indianapolis Colts do not look like a team that you're just going to roll on past. Uh, the Falcons don't look like a team that you're just going to roll on past. The Jaguars were not a team that you just rolled on past. The teams around that they're playing are much better than they actually took the offseason. They took the draft picks that they were going to get and they improved themselves. They had some coaching changes and different things, but they got better. This is not the easiest schedule in the league anymore. So being 4-2 with this schedule is not something to balk at. And especially when you look at that Buccaneers game and I go, we handed that game to the Buccaneers in a lot of ways.
For sure.
I have no idea what Mac Jones was doing on that last interception. I talked about it in the review video I put out. It was the last play I went, or one of the last plays I went over. We had far too many coverage busts that gave up at least 14 points in that game. And then you have the one mistake on the first interception that is just Kendrick Bourne running the wrong route or running the wrong side adjustment on that route. And
Yeah.
that's another 7 points. You hand Tampa Bay 21 points.
Tackle Baker on 3rd and 14. How about that?
I don't even care about that play because the
Oh, but then he threw a touchdown after that when he should be
right.
punting.
Oh,
That's
okay.
huge.
I it is huge, but Baker's going to make one of those plays. He did that last year and we still beat him with Jake Moody missing 3 field goals. So, I mean, I'm not like Baker is Baker and he's going to make a couple plays like that. So I'm not going to pin that and say the defense that's all on them for that play. That's an understandable play for me because Baker is a player that makes those kind of exceptional plays every once in a while. You
Yeah.
still should be able to win the game. And you should have actually been able to win it by a comfortable margin. The bigger thing is you can't leave a player completely uncovered deep down the sideline when you have an unblocked player off the edge because you don't communicate the change of strength and you have a receiver running down the sideline and you get a touchdown. You can't have I was staring straight at my defender, didn't see the safety rotate over, so I should have changed to an out route instead of a choice out China. And we throw an interception that sets them up at the 12-yard line. Like those are the things that drive me nuts more than that Baker play and are more consequential because that's the swing in the game. You lose by 11, you lose by 12 points or 11 points and you gift them 14 and you take points off your own board. You have that interception at the end where Mac is throwing the alert on the boundary side, the short side of the field, trying to layer it over the corner before the safety, again, on the short side of the field. And he's not even going through progression 1, 2, and 3. He's just throwing the alert. That doesn't make any sense to me. So those things are what I look at and I go, okay, the third and however long run. Yeah, Renardo Green should have wrapped up. He threw a shoulder into him about 3 yards shy of the first down marker. But look, I'm more upset about Bernardo Green's 2 or 3 busts in coverage that he had over that play. So
Yeah,
they've got to figure those things out. I'm more frustrated by Tatum Bethune and D Winters not stepping up and communicating change of strength across the board. The Falcons are going to come out and they're going to do that every single third down. They're going to change the strength. Just watch this game. Every third down, the Falcons are going to change strength right before the snap because they're going to challenge our ability on these to account for that on split field coverages that we run almost every single third down. We do different split fields, but we're having a problem with everybody shifting split field, and because we do man on one side and we on the weak side and we do a zone match on the other. It's different zone matches, but we've had a hard time of transitioning from I'm in a zone drop to man and I'm in man to a zone drop with those rapid change of strengths. The Falcons are going to do that every single third down. It's going to happen.
yeah, I got to second what Callie Young is saying, where because overall I agree with what you're saying, but that Baker play broke our back and changed the momentum of the game. Football, their momentum is a huge thing. Like, look at the momentum that we lost with Fred Warner going out. I think we were planning on
No, we didn't.
having
No, we
them
didn't.
punt.
No, we didn't. See, I'm going to challenge that. We did not lose momentum on that because you know how that drive ended? They punted.
Yeah, but
When Fred went out, the Buccaneers they punted the ball within 3 plays. So like I get what I understand where you're coming from. But for me, and I get it broke the back of the defense. I'm talking that the defense gave up 14 points they shouldn't have before that play.
yeah,
And I get
completely.
it was a competitive game, but that play it shouldn't have come down to that play. Last year when we played the Bucks, does everybody remember that Baker's rolling out to his right, Nick Bosa's yanking on his arm and he
And he
makes
still
a
makes, yeah,
throw, a high
yeah,
point throw on 4th and 11 that was
yeah,
ridiculous. Like he
and we
made
still
one of
won.
those plays last year and we still won with Jake Moody missing 3 field goals and Debo and Tabor Pepper getting into a fight on the sideline over it.
Yep,
Like
yep.
we still should have won the game. Baker was going to make at least one of those plays. You still should win the game, and in that game that we looked at with the Buccaneers last year, there was a lot of mistakes, and we felt like we should have won that game by at least a 2-score game, right? Like
Can't give them
I'm
the
more
ball. Yeah.
right. Well, and it's just that there were more issues going on. That play, yeah, but Baker's going to make one of those. You can't. The issue is you can't put it in down to that play only. If you're relying on beating Baker by keeping him from making one of those plays, you're not going to win the game. You have to settle it on other plays. Like I went over the film yesterday on my review video, and then with stats as well. We did it yesterday on his show. There were 6 busts in coverage, major busts in coverage that happened in the game. That is way too high of a rate. Like the third and long, that you made life hard for Baker and he overcame it. The other ones, you were making it way too easy.
Yeah.
Like it make him make those plays every drive because then you're going to be okay. But if you're relying on, well, we can't have him make any of those plays because we're making it easy on 3 other drives, no, you're going to lose the game, and that's what happened.
So I appreciate the faithful here because obviously here's what's happening. Johnny and I did not have a chance to have a Monday show, and we're basically getting it in for these first 15 minutes. Now I want to shift gears to the Falcons. I will point out that my roommate is from Atlanta. He bleeds everything from
Atlanta.
the Atlanta Hawks to the Falcons, and very great dude. And we are going to
Are
the
you a Braves
bar
fan?
to watch. Absolutely. And we are going to the game. We're not going to the game. What am I saying? We are going to the bar to watch the game together. I'm very pumped about that. And I want to ask you, um, the number one thing that jumps off the page to me about the Falcons, and man, that I watched that game against the Bills not because I was interested in that matchup, because that's a weird matchup, but I was like playing scout, right? Like, I want to see. I haven't seen the Falcons. I hear what my roommate's telling me, but okay, he's biased. So I watched, and oh my gosh, Bijan, or however you say his name, just
Bijan.
jumps off the page, like literally jumps off the page. Uh,
Or the
they're not
page or
just
the screen?
yeah, They are not just like top 3 in the league, they're not in top 10. Johnny, how scary is this rushing attack?
They're the number one rushing attack in the league. Bijan Robinson leads all players in yards from scrimmage and has already had his bye week. So that tells you how productive he's been. They are they're number one in uh in overall rushing, which is just kind of scary. They're number 8 in rushing EPA, and this allows them to be the third most balanced offense in the league. They have the third lowest pass percentage at 51.2%. So they're extremely balanced. And that's what you get to do when you have a very productive run game. You have a dynamic player at running back, and you have a scheme that starts working together. So they're a team that they lean into that run game. That is where Michael Penix has started to look better, is that he is being asked to carry less water for the team, that they are able to lean into that offensive line. Their tight ends, they're very good in the run game. They're blocking. And so they are able to be very, very productive. This is a huge challenge for the 49ers rush defense. There's really, when you look at like the next gen stats matchup, they say there's no advantage for either team in rushing and rush defense when we match up against them. So this is a strength on strength moment where the 49ers are going to be having to really, strap it up tight. It's going to be an ice bag game on defense of holding up against all these runs. It's going to be a lot on Tatum Bethune's shoulders to go and make some tackles and bring that hit stick that he's got to take down Bijan Robinson, because he's a guy that doesn't go down easy. He's very tough, very difficult to get on the ground, and so it is a huge, huge challenge. Bijan Robinson is a very, very dynamic player. He's 6 foot, 214 pounds. I mean, this is a heavy load. He was the number 8 overall pick for a reason. The highest drafted running back in a long time. That this is a dynamic player in the run and the pass. He's just an incredible talent. I mean, 83 rushes for 484 yards. You got your work cut out for you. He doesn't like to run in between the tackles though. So they like to get him out in space. He likes to bounce it outside. They really like to work outside to get on safeties, corners. So those guys have got to be strong force defenders and work everything back to D Winters and Tatum Bethune. Like, that has got to be their focus on this in this game, is getting that there, hemming him in off the edges and making, like, it's like we said about Baker. Don't give him the easy ones. Make him work for every single one. That's what you got to do. I mean, when you look at his rushing attempts, it's literally like 2 prongs heading out. It's like deer antlers is what it looks like. His rushing attempts in their last game against the Bills, like, there's almost nothing down the middle. Let's see if I can pull this up and show everybody, so you can see what this looks like. Like, this is what his rushing attempts look like against the Bills. Like, it's an outside rusher. He's an outside rusher. So you're seeing that, like, there is nothing in the middle of the field. It is all outside runs. So you've got to hem that in. That's going to be up to your safeties and corners. And so that's where I know they've been saying that Jair Brown is closer to closing the door on the safety spot opposite Malik Mustafa. I don't like that in this game. I like Marquise Siegel better in this game. I know he's been targeted in the past game, but Marquise Siegel's a better tackler. He's a more physical tackler than Jair Brown. Jair Brown has been hesitant against the run since he has been with the 49ers. He was at his rookie year. Last year was Nick Sorensen, and I'm still seeing some hesitation and lack of physicality with some of the run tackles and run supports from him where he is now. So I love the way that Marquise Siegel comes down and tackles with authority. So if it's me, I'm saying Marquise Siegel in this game, but we'll see what happens with that.
So let me ask you this. What we know about Robert Saleh, what Is there something in particular where they're this week they're obviously they have the same information that you do and more time on their hands to freaking figure it out. So, is there something that you're looking for where this is just me not understanding the full scope? Like, do they broaden out more, widen out? Do they, how does that work when something jumps off the page as far as, wow, this guy really likes to get outside? What are you looking for in the defense with Robert Sala?
What I'm looking for is this is where your wide nine defensive ends have got to be stout. This is why one reason you go and get a Michael Williams, so that he can align in that wide nine, and he's going to then really contain the edge, because Bijan Robinson's going to want to bounce, and so you allow your defensive tackles to be disruptive, flash color. That's what they're going to be coaching on, like flashing his vision in some way. So you're going to see him slant there. They're not going to be trying to just soak up double teams. They're going to be an attacking 4-3 front. That's what they like to do, but they want to flash color because Bijan's going to try and bounce it if he sees any sort of flash of color in front of him. And that is then where your defensive ends have got to keep their outside arm free. Michael Williams busted 2 runs by not doing that this last week. One of which was a touchdown. He took on a puller and he took him on with his outside shoulder. And you don't do that. You got to keep your outside shoulder free. And he took him on with his outside shoulder, and it got bounced out for a touchdown. I believe it was their second or third touchdown as a run for 12 or 13 yards, if I'm remembering right. So that is where, like, you've got to be ready for that. Like, they've got to understand, work on that technique of how we're going to contain on that. Your safeties, you're going to see a lot of quarters defense, so which we already do anyways, but that means your safeties are going to be aligned 10 to 12 yards off the ball around where the tight ends are going to be. And this is where Robert Saleh, we're going to align in a lot of quarters. I expect a lot of cover 3 buzz. I really do, because what that allows is that your safety, and they might do it like how Vic Fangio does it. What Vic Fangio will do is by play action or how the play develops out. I'm not meaning like play action fakes. I'm meaning as the play actions out, they will switch. They will decide who's going to be on what side. As far as when you're in that quarters, you're going to bring one safety down who's going to be in a hook zone. The other safety is going to drop into a deep zone. And so what you do is, the way Vic Fangio does it a lot is, if say it's a run action to the right, whether it's a play action pass or a run, you're going to determine that's your buzz side. And so the linebackers on out there need to be aware of which side that's going to be, because if it's a play action pass, they got to get to their zone drop. But it allows your safeties to be moving downhill at the snap, so that if it's a run, you are there with a run force to the outside, and then also still be in position on your pass defense. So that's what I expect, to align in that quarters, keep those safeties there, and then a lot of buzz where it's going to be based on the run action side. That's one way that you can account for that and really help hem in those outside runs from Bijan.
You mentioned Michael Williams. That's an obvious person who I would say needs to step up with, based on what you said about setting the edge. I'm curious. To me, Tatum Bethune, I think, is the next guy up. Not just the next guy up, meaning from Fred Warner. I think who needs to step up to really step up. Is there someone else though that you see on the defensive side of the ball for us that really needs to have, just where we come in on Monday gushing because of this guy played so well? For me, it's Bethune. Do you see it him or someone else?
I mean, yeah, I mean, he's got a lot on his shoulders. I mean, I will say
He
this.
does.
I posted on X. This is August 11th. It was after I was watching the tape, one of our preseason tapes, and I said Tatum Bethune looks so much further ahead this year than he did last year. Uh, so he took a big step forward this offseason, compared to where he was last year. So I'm kind of excited to see Tatum Bethune. I liked him his rookie year, but he was so unaware of a lot of play action passes. He bit so hard on any sort of run fake that he just abandoned these coverage zones, seemed really lost in coverage of where he was supposed to be. And it wasn't just being in Nick Sorensen's defense, it was him being a rookie. I mean, he was a late round rookie pick. That was one of his weaknesses coming out of college. And he worked then to transform his body. He was more of the outside linebacker type. Now, their linebackers tend to all be very much the same guy as far as body types. Gifford is a difference this year because they're using him more like they did in 2017 and 2018. Nick Martin presents more of that. We want all of our linebacker profiles to be the same, which are all run and hit linebackers. That was the change they made when you had Fred Warner, Dre Greenlaw, and Azeez Al-Shaair. They're all like the same profile. But we're not playing that quite the same this year. Our Sam Backer on base downs is playing more on the line of scrimmage, more in that over look that or under look that we did in 2017 and 18. But Bethune, it had to transform his body to add some weight to be able to do those roles that they want from the linebackers. That's another issue that they're working through with Nick Martin. Everybody wants to see Nick Martin out there. Nick Martin is a small linebacker. He's got to add weight. They want him to put on weight, put on some mass to be able to run and hit, but also take on some of those guards, because every once in a while you're asked to do that in this defense. They need to, so I don't see this as like a Nick Martin's going to come in. But Tatum Bethune, I'm excited to see him see the growth. He's got a lot on his shoulders. He's not going to be the second coming of Fred Warner. Like, we're not just going to sit here and say, okay, and he can't be expected to make all the plays that Fred was making. I was so depressed watching the first quarter of that Bucks game because Fred was just flying around, making so many plays.
I know.
And knowing what was going to happen to him. It was because I'm sitting there going, wow, that's an awesome play by Fred. And every awesome play came with a little bit of depression because you knew what was coming. So I think
when you're watching the film, you're saying?
Yeah, when I was watching
Yeah.
the tape Tuesday night. So,
Yep.
but I think the guy that we've got to come away with this and say, okay, this guy is a wow game, Renardo Green. Like he's having some coverage bust issues. He's more of that man guy. This is the game that you need to lock down your side a little bit more, because Michael Penix, when in doubt, he's either going to throw it to Bijan or he's going to throw it to single man coverage. And they're
Drake
going to
London
put
is a
that
good player.
and they're going to put that on Renardo Green in a lot of moments. So this is your moment to really step up, because Michael Penix, he's not just sitting back there and going through his reads. The guy is constantly moving around in the pocket. He's always kind of trying to shift around. You can see that he's not processing the game at a really super high level. He's a young player. This isn't a knock on him. He's growing in his reps, and I think he's going to be a really tough player down the future. But if you look at how he at him in the pocket, he is traveling the most distance inside, or he's traveling the second fewest distance inside the pocket. So he's kind of sitting there and he's looking, and then he's dumping it out. And if he gets single man coverage, he's going to look that way. So Renardo Green, and especially on those in breakers from the man side, he's got to cover those, got to lock those down. I think Penix will give you a couple opportunities if he can do that, kind of undercut him like he did last year against Geno Smith. We saw on that DK throw, if you remember that, against the first game against Seattle. You're going to see a lot of those kind of opportunities, is what I'm trying to say. He's got to come up there because we got to get after Michael Penix. They're going to try and run play action, and that's going to put more on Renardo Green. They're going to go after him on these play action passes because you're going to have some opportunities on those in breakers. They like to throw it. That's where you got to hold it down. And if he does that, that will give the defense enough time to get home, get some pressure, and you might come away with a couple turnovers. That's what you got to do.
So I want to switch to the other side of the ball, but real quick before we do, I want to get to one chat here. 1865 Heist, what's up with Demo this year? Are we not seeing him because he's locking people up or because he's a non-factor? He's locking people up. I mean, the stats show that he's not giving up. He's really not giving up much, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I mean, mostly in coverage, he's doing really well. A lot of teams aren't necessarily just saying we're going to line up with him to the split field man side. A lot of teams are doing that to Renardo Green side, and so like that's where they want to go after. If you're going to go after one of our two corners in man right now, you're going after Renardo Green. So you're gonna have the concept side to a lot of times we would say the possession receiver side, right? We're gonna have three receivers. That strong side is gonna be to Lenore's side. That's where it's being. So uh, there's not as many opportunities to get your hands on a ball there when you're playing like a deep quarter and they're throwing it underneath or they're going backside to at Renardo Green or on D Winters or an Upton Stout. That's where guys are attacking more, and we've been struggling in those intermediate hook zones in flats. Those have been areas that we've really been struggling as far as some coverage busts and then communication along the sides. The big touchdown that was given up that I said on the coverage bus, somebody didn't communicate to Lenore the change in strength. He's playing in man coverage. He's taught stare at the guy's belt buckle until the snap and through the snap, like read his belt buckle. So his eyes are reading his receiver, and he's reliant upon communication. If there's a change of strength, then he's got to switch from man coverage to a bail quarters, matching quarters. Then somebody's got to communicate that to him, and clearly that did not get communicated, and it's a bust in coverage, and they go down. So, Demo, they've got I don't see like this huge drop off in play. I think it's kind of like the Christian McCaffrey thing. There's other players around him that are not playing real well right now, and he's just not getting a lot of ops. I mean, he gave up the one long completion, but it still was a punt. That was on the play that Fred Warner got hurt on that drive, right? That's a tough coverage. He made it a tight window throw. It was a really tight window throw, but it was still short of the first down. So Demo it's not like he's been the guy that's been problems on our defense.
Right, right. Totally agree. Reminder, we can't always get to every single question. Remember to email us questions. That happens from time to time, and I love seeing Johnny can respond to it through email or we can have it on the show. So reminder there. Also reminder to hit the notification bell. I know we have a few new people. Shout out to the Jets fan that's here, that's hanging out, loves the channel. Johnny loves learning about football, and we do win more games than the New York Jets. I'll just say it that way.
Ow.
And the
No shots fired, bro. He's in the
no,
chat.
bro, that's not a shot. They haven't won a game, so I'm
Okay,
not
I
saying
guess that's a
anything.
passive aggressive shot. Like, well,
No,
it's
I'm
glad to see
thankful.
you here to where we're talking about an actual winning team.
Look, I'm trying to pitch you if you let me. I
Okay.
want him
Okay.
and everyone to know that the best way to support the channel is to show people this channel. Make sure that you're subscribed and that you hit the notification bell so that when we go live and when Johnny has a video out, that you're made aware. Also, the website jfa49.com. If you really like learning about football, that is the move for you. Be sure to check out the website. Johnny does a ton of work on that and has, again, the favorite thing I like to talk through on that is the route trees. So all different routes, a hook and an in, and why they work and how they work, and the playbooks and the ins and outs, the whys and the hows, all that is on there. Technic Chick, stop starting stuff in the chat. Pew pew pew. No,
Yeah.
not shots
Also,
fired.
the website is the number one way this channel stays open and stays running. Members
Yeah.
of the website, as most people know, I mean, I could show you my content upload that right now it's just red lines of ineligible on for monetization on all the different breakdown videos because the NFL and look, I've been harsh on them. Maybe I need to take a breather on it for a second because I do understand why they're doing it, but it's kind of like one of those unintended consequences. Because I actually did have I'll just say Brett Coleman reached out to me and we talked about some of this stuff that's going on and like because what you have is I'm more irritated with some other people, is that some people decided to just upload coaches film to YouTube. No editing, no breaking down of it, just simply like, here's all of this guy's plays, and they would just have that uploaded, or they would upload the entire game. The NFL's not going to allow that. They're seeing that, and they're going to say, no, if people want to go see all like Brock Purdy's dropbacks, they can go to NFL Pro, they can filter Brock Purdy and passes, and they can find that themselves, but they have to pay for it. You can't just post a product that the NFL has and not expect the NFL to want to do something about it. So what they do is they upload the coach's film, and things get automatically flagged, and that's what happens with my videos. It just sees that there was portions. Usually it only flags like 20 seconds of a video, but it makes the entire video not be able to be monetized. And I've gone through the dispute process. The problem is I can't make money off it for the first 14 days, basically. And in that, then, nobody's watching the review videos 2 weeks later. Nobody really cares about the Jags breakdown right now.
Right.
So to offset all of this, that's where members come on board and support the channel, and those in on these shows. That's why I don't do a lot of film breakdowns on these ones. These ones get flagged. So I've got to at least be able to put out something that's not going to get flagged by the NFL. So that is the number one way that people will support the channel is by being members of JFA49.com. I appreciate it. I don't like asking for money. I really hate it. But that's kind of the only pathway that I've had going forward with what has had to happen with the YouTube side. So that's just a little spiel we have on that, and we will move on because I don't like talking about this.
And that's why also you have me, because I have no problem asking people that I've gotten to know you over the last couple of years, and you work really hard. You have a family, you work with kids as your job, and you are just an impressive guy. And I want this channel to keep going. And for the amount of time that you put in, I think it's fair to ask. And the biggest thing that you can do, like I said, is check out the website. So again, JFA49.com. We're talking all things Falcons versus 49ers. We are shifting to the offensive side. Let's get a quick update on who we think is going to play, because I haven't had a chance to look. So chat, help me out. Johnny, help me
Oh,
out.
I got you.
Okay,
So,
where are we
I
at?
mean, the 49ers injury report is a mile long.
Yeah.
We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8,
The
9, 10,
presser was
11,
funny.
12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 17 guys who were listed on the injury report for something injury related. Christian McCaffrey is not injury related. He gets a vet day now. Trent Williams, not injury related, gets a vet day, but 17 other guys are on the injury report. We had 4 that were non-participants, that obviously being Fred Warner. MVS was a weird one. Apparently he's pulled a calf, so he's going to be out for several weeks, a week, as if we needed more issues with the receiver core. Ricky Pearsall still not back at practice, is not going to be playing this week. Yetur Gross-Matos, obviously with the hamstring, we know he's not going to be playing for at least a couple weeks. I think they're keeping him active just because they don't want to use an IR spot, because we're about using all those up already, the designated to return. But George Kittle had his practice window open. We got Malik Mustafa back last week. We expect more of him. Sky Moore was limited in practice with the ankle, so that's trending in the right direction, mainly as a return guy. That means they don't have to elevate Junior Bergen, and that they don't have to ask Jordan Watkins to try and do punt return if he's able to go. He was limited with the calf. Brock Purdy, still not sure. Mac Jones was a full participant in practice yesterday. Brock Purdy was a limited participant in practice. Dominic Puni did return to practice. He's still not 100% with that knee. Need him to get healthy.
He's struggling.
He had probably his worst game I've ever seen from him last week.
Yeah.
It was rough. But then there's just a lot of different guys that are hurt. Kevin Givens, hopefully he's working his way back. We need him in that defensive line rotation. Those guys need to stay healthy, and we've got to get what Kevin Givens can bring is a little more athleticism to move around in your passers packages, actually, to run those stunts and stuff. Juwan Jennings still, he's playing through a lot there. George Kittle, though, back, and that's going to be the big thing, is that George Kittle needs to be able to get out there and really help this run game. This you're about to face an extremely talented Falcons defense, but they've been very inconsistent. So I want to make that clear. The Falcons defense is good, but they have been very inconsistent. They are the number one total defense in the league. Now, some of that is because they've only played 5 games. Okay. So
Right, they had their bye.
they've had their bye. And so we do have to remember, okay, yes, they are the number one total defense by total yards given up, but they've only played 5 games. So they are a good defense. The fascinating thing about the Falcons is that they average scoring 20 points a game. And you know what their defense averages giving up? 20 points a game.
Well, when you lose 30-0, that does skew things. They lost 30-0 to the Panthers.
Right.
That's crazy to me.
And that's what I mean. They've been very, very inconsistent. So, they have 24-14. Their defense only gives up 14 points against the Bills.
Yeah.
With Josh Allen. Like, imagine a game. Imagine Brock Purdy goes into a game and only scores 14 points against the Falcons. How does he get buried? But that I digress.
Well,
then
Josh
but
Allen
the week
was MVP.
But the week before, they allowed 27 points to a almost as badly injured as the 49ers Commanders team. A Commanders team that is extremely banged up.
Yeah, they didn't have
has
Jaden
all
Daniels.
Sorts of issues.
Yeah.
They don't have Marcus Mariota was the quarterback. I mean,
hey, he beat us. Remember?
I'm just
Falcons.
saying, like that Commanders team. We're not looking at that saying this is an offensive powerhouse this year. You go from allowing 27 points against the Commanders to only 14 against the Bills, but the week before against the Panthers, they allowed 30 points and scored 0. They got shut out. Like you said, they got shut out. But the week before that, they held the Vikings to 6 points. It was 22-6. And the week before that, it was 20-23 with the Buccaneers. So, this has been a very inconsistent defense. They have the potential to shut you down, like we've seen against the Vikings, against the Bills. But then you also have opportunities to run up 27, 30 points against them, like the Panthers did, like the Commanders did. So, we don't exactly know what this Falcons defense is. They're talented, but they can be got. Now they're also facing a couple of their exciting rookies are dealing with injuries and did not practice yesterday. As Jalen Walker is dealing with a pulled groin, and Billy Bowman Jr., who's dealing with a pulled hamstring. Those are 2 very dynamic young players that they drafted that most likely are not going to be playing Sunday. They have a bunch of guys on their injury reports, not nearly as long as the 49ers, but without Jalen Walker out there, you're looking at Leonard Floyd is going to be one of your passers, but then you do have to account for James Pierce. James Pierce, we covered him in the offseason, heading into the draft. James Pierce is an electrifying defensive end. He is extremely fast off the ball. He was out of Tennessee last year, was a guy that some people were talking about as mid first round kind of draft talent. And the Falcons, I believe they traded up to go get James Pierce, and he has brought that pass rushing juice to that team. He's not somebody they're going to be in there in a lot of rundown situations, but you have to be like, I'm not excited about the prospect of him against Colton McKivitz. Colton McKivitz struggles against speed rushers. And so the idea of James Pierce lining up on Colton McKivitz, you got to give some help over there. Trent, I'm not as worried about, but James Pierce on Colton McKivitz is not exactly something I'm excited about. Their pass defense can be got. They're bottom third of the league in pass defense, rush defense. Their pass defense is a little bit better. They're a good coverage unit. You actually look at their quarterback time to throw. They are one of the longer in the league. Like, I think they're 5th or 6th longest time to throw for opponents, but they're 5th in quarterback pressure percentage. That tells you that they're holding up in coverage. So it's got to be a game where I personally would rather see Brock out there if he's healthy to go. I think if you're looking at that kind of a game that where it's got to be up to the quarterback to really make a lot of pre-snap, post-snap processing, get through it. and make the right reads. Brock's ahead of the game on that. But if he's not healthy, do not risk his toe anymore. Like we don't need
Yeah,
this to be a year where Brock is like plays a
in and
game, is
out,
out for
in
2
and
weeks,
out.
plays a
Yeah,
game, is out for 3 weeks, and only plays
especially
5
when
or 6
Mac
games this year.
look, especially when Mac is playing so well. We're gonna talk more offense. Thank Cornelius for his super chat real quick. He said he was listening to you in stat yesterday. As you mentioned, you were on with him. Talked about John Lynch speaking on Fred and BA's injuries. Could the inaccuracies be a reflection on the training staff? We talk about that a lot. Like, yeah, sell the whole training staff and get a new like when it's us every year and we're so ahead of the game in a bad way on this, it's like what there's something in the water. We'll change out the water or something. It's so bad.
Yeah, so I don't know how Kyle Shanahan can come to the end of this season and look at your team and say, okay, we were the number one by a mile most injured team in a year where the Detroit Lions had 50 individual players show up on the injury report throughout the season. We were more injured than the Lions. Think about that.
Yeah, we saw what
Um,
happened to them. We saw it.
and you
Saw
saw they
it.
ran out of steam. And
Yeah.
that's what the worry is right now with the 49ers. Are you running out of steam just because you run out of warm bodies, capable
Yeah,
warm bodies to throw
that's
out
what
on the
I'm
field?
saying. That's what I'm
Uh,
saying.
and so I don't know how you get to the end of this season where you're already the number one most injured team by a wide margin. And you look at your training staff and your strength and conditioning staff, and you say, yeah, nothing's wrong there. Because the argument that Kyle's made, and this is where I will push back on Kyle. I like a lot of things he does. I don't like this sort of digging your heels in and saying, "Man, we're just getting unlucky." You cannot be unlucky this many times in a row. Like it's like saying, "Okay, I have a four-sided dice and I roll a 1 80% of the time." And then saying, "Well, that's wild. That's weird." You say, "No, there's probably a problem with the dice. Like, is this dice loaded or something?
Weighted.
Is it
Yeah,
weighted weird?"
weighted. Yeah.
You're gonna ask that question.
Something. Yeah.
If that were to happen in a casino, they would probably accuse you of doing something wrong and ban you from the casino all the time because they say that's not statistically possible for this to happen. Um, the 49ers being a top 10 most injured team 8 out of 9 years is not statistically possible without there being extenuating circumstances, without something systemic being wrong. And because Kyle will point back to, well, 2023, we were one of the healthiest teams in the league. Yeah, and then you got 3 horrible injuries in the Super Bowl that cost you a Super Bowl. And I get it. Some players seem to have recurring injuries, like George Kittle gets hurt almost every year. That's part of the physical playing style he's had. I get it. Dre Greenlaw has dealt with injuries his entire career. I get those things. But I also can't say, well, you can't be number one in like 3 out of the last 4 years and say something's not wrong with the way we're going about our business. Something is wrong. And you can't keep saying with the same people because this is the stakes are way too high when you are investing $250 million a year into your players. 250 to $280 million a year into your players, and then saying, well, we're fine with them just not being able to play. You can't have $90 million a year on IR and say, well, we're just unlucky. I'm sorry. They can't do that. And so I just have issues with them the way that this has gone about. I don't feel like they've been aggressive enough. I feel like that they've actually promoted the people that have been in these positions after seasons when they were the most injured teams and you or in the top 10. And I go, like, prove to me by the product on the field. I don't care what sort of background they may have or what how well they can do in an interview. Show me the data that these players were more injured before they got to the 49ers and were less injured after. Because that data doesn't exist.
Yeah, it's not there.
And so either it's your the way you're running practices that's been conflicting. There's some players who can't show up and they say, it's the hardest practice I've ever had. Other players will show up and they'll say, man, we went way harder in this other place. Like, so you see that. so I'm not sold that it's the way they practice. It's not necessarily the way they play the game. A lot of teams around the NFL are very physical teams. That's what a lot of teams are like. We're gonna be the most physical team, and many of them are not the number one most injured team for a while. So, I mean, the fact that they've taken out as many insurance policies for injury that they have and gotten money back off of it tells you kind of how they're approaching the business on it. So, anyways, um, what John Lynch was saying there, I do believe that there's a disconnect. I do get frustrated, and it's either, Kyle, you need to be a little bit more invested into exactly learning what these injuries are. Not just, well, hand me a one sentence breakdown of what this injury is so I can tell the media. Either there's a disconnect there, or your staff. I've had too many times over the last 5 years where we've had somebody have an injury. They give you an update on it, and then it turns out it lingers longer. That guy's performance is worse. You get to the end of the season, they say, well, it turned out it was actually worse than we thought. We've seen that too many times. Well, it turned out it was worse than we thought. Well, it was actually a really, really bad one. We didn't really know that going in. Okay, that's a reflection of your training staff and who your team doctors are. There's been some reports of different players who've been coming back from injury being frustrated by the team doctors, and the way that they've gone about rehab, and they've gone about different things, that they've been frustrated because they have their own doctors and their own doctors don't agree. And then when that player's performance suffers, I say, well, I probably lean towards more what their doctors were saying, because yours obviously are there's an incongruency here. So, yeah, just
it's tough all the way around. Yeah, it's bad. All right, let's shift again with our offense. What is the X factor for you on offense? And let's we appreciate all that you do, Johnny. Yes, I second and triple that. You're the MVP for us fans. Thank you for the super chat, Lisa.
Thank you so much, Lisa.
I concur.
Big friend of the show. We appreciate you a lot. As far as what our offense has got to do, we started to do it in the Bucs game. We started to actually run the ball. Now we had still a bunch of miscues there. What you started to see, the reason we started to run the ball a little bit better, we were running the ball better in between the tackles. And the reason that started happening is we actually hit some outside runs. Now we still missed on several where it was just bad misses, but we started to at least get some there, and that made life easier in between the tackles. So they're getting there. They need to really get there this week, because you're going against a defense that is very good in the back end. They got a bunch of different guys that can be productive. Now, again, James Pierce is the motor that kind of runs that engine, or the engine that runs that vehicle, because he's generating pressure. I think it's on 25 or 30% of his pass rushes, which is super high. So he's causing issues. He's kind of setting everything up for a lot of the other guys, kind of like Nick Bosa would do for us. And Bryce Huff can set things up for other guys, but you've got to be able to run the ball a little bit better. And Christian McCaffrey, we need to be able to let him hit the hole with conviction. He's having his GPS monitors in the backfield are the slowest of his career. And I don't believe that's just Christian McCaffrey's lost a step. He is less decisive. He's having to stop his feet more in the backfield. He's not able to hit the holes with the kind of same decisiveness that he's had in the past. That's a big reason that it's been slower this year. It's not just because Christian McCaffrey's lost a step. Every NFL defense that we have played against focuses so much on Christian McCaffrey. And so, I'm not going to sit here and say, well, yeah, a really slow as crap NFL running back gets more attention than any other running back in the league by NFL defenses. That doesn't make sense. So we've got to be able to get him going and be able to hit the holes with conviction and be more predictable on it. Set up those play action passes. You tie those things in. This offense can take off like a rocket, but they've got to get there. We should be averaging 27 points a game, and we're not. We're averaging well shy of that. So And I get it. You don't have your receivers. I've
Yeah, it's
banged
a
that
lot
drum
of
as
backups
much as
in.
anything.
A lot of backups
But
in it.
you've got to still be able to execute your scheme, because right now we're missing the counter punch and the counter punch. We only have the punch, and so teams are like, it's like a boxer has a really good jab, but they've hurt their shoulder and they can't throw a hook at all. And so you have no counter to your really good jab. And so somebody's going to come in and say, well, I'm going to take away that jab and make them use all their other punches, and they're not going to land as hard. So they're not going to be able to land them nearly as much. So I'm okay with that. We're just going to take away the really good jab. That's what we're going to focus on first. And I like to use the boxing analogy because that's what Bill Walsh did, because he was a former boxer and he used to use boxing analogies with football all the time.
I love those videos of old school videos of Bill Walsh, and he's got the whiteboard, and that's when we will attack them, when like he's going into Normandy. Like it's like those videos, man, are, which I don't want to get you on a rant about Normandy and all the tanks, and this will be a 2-hour show if Johnny gets going talking about tanks and war. He's very well versed.
Hey now.
Uh,
Hey now. Hey.
so, all right, are we ready for score predictions?
I guess. I guess.
Drop them in the chat, guys. I will start, and I will say, like, this is a game that if we lose, that I won't be like, this Falcons team is just, they have mojo right now. They have momentum. They are a good team as of right now. I don't know what's going to happen in 4 weeks, but right now they are a good football team. Now, I'm always going to pick the Niners to win. I truly am. But I think that we would squeak it out. And so I'm going to go 24-23 Niners.
Ooh.
I mean, I just think it's going to be, now I love our kicking game, and so I think we'll be down 21-23, and Mac Jones will throw a 17-yard pass that we're like, "Oh, we needed that." And then Money Man is going to hit the kick.
Okay. Here's what I think. I'm going to go out on a limb on this one.
Wow, a lot of 24s coming in, by the way.
I'm going to say it's going to be 25. No. It's going to be 23-20 49ers.
Okay, so you're pretty
And
close.
here's how the game is going to end. It's going to be tied with 1:40 left. And we will get the ball back.
Very specific. How many milliseconds?
I don't know how this is going to, before 3 minutes comes out. Malik Mustafa is going to get an interception. And
off a tipped ball.
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. Malik Mustafa is going to get an interception, and we're going to drive it down. It's going to be tied 20-20. and Dinero Pinheiro is going to hit a game winner.
I'm with you there.
That's what I think. So the reason I'm saying 23 is because I think the 49ers are going to get in the end zone twice, but I don't see them getting in the end zone more than twice. They're going to move the ball, and they're going to get into that range that we all get frustrated when they don't score touchdowns. And Eddie Pinheiro is going to hit 3 field goals in this game. That's what I think. What I think. There's going to be a Malik Mustafa interception near the end of the game. Pinheiro is going to hit the game winner. It's going to be 23-20, and we will be going, okay. That's what I think.
Good win.
That's what I think. If that happens, Adam, what is going to be your house's reaction?
Oh, man.